Another referendum on adopting the Caribbean Court of Justice on the cards for Grenadians. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, April 24. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. The Grenada government is preparing to carry out another referendum on the country adopting the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, as its final appeal court. The move comes 2 years after the electorate voted to reject the move. Attorney General Dr. Lawrence Joseph confirmed yesterday that a draft amendment to the 2016 Constitution of Grenada was recently sent to the Grenada Bar Association for discussions as the first step. He said there would be wider discussion once the bar gives its input. The 2018 Constitution Amendment Bill includes everything in the 2016 bill with 2 exceptions. The section about swearing allegiance to the country instead of to the Queen, as well as the code of conduct for public officials, have been omitted. Joseph said the government will once again establish a committee to spearhead the process. The bill was among 7 which failed to receive the adequate number of votes in the November 27th, 2016 referendum. In that process, 12,434 voted against the CCJ, while 9,492 voted in favor. At the swearing-in ceremony of new cabinet ministers following the March 13th general elections, Mitchell called for a reopening of dialogue on the CCJ. The Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda has passed a bill to amend the act which governs the work of nurses in the Twin Island nation despite protests. Nurses were protesting outside the Parliament Tuesday morning as the lower house debated and passed the Mount St. John Amendment Bill 2018. The nurses were contending that the proposed bill disenfranchised a number of nurses who were seconded to the Holberton Hospital. They said in its original form they were not guaranteed employment at Mount St. John's Medical Center. However, as we hear in this report from ABS News, amendments were made to the bill before it was passed.
Including nurses and other healthcare workers, protested against the amendment to the 2009 Act that governs the operation of the Mount St. John's Medical Center. The placard-bearing protesters gathered outside the Parliament building on Queen Elizabeth Highway to register their displeasure. The gallery of the Parliament was packed as the nurses gathered to await the debate. President of the Antigua-Barbuda Public Service Association, Joan Peters, was of the belief that the proposed amendments she saw would displace workers at the Mount St. John's Medical Center.
If we apply to the board, we have to apply for our jobs. And if we apply to the board, there's no guarantee that the board will absorb you. And if the board don't absorb you, or you choose not to be absorbed, he's saying that we're going to be made redundant. And that can't happen in the Civil Service, because the Civil Service Act and regulation, neither the Pension Act, nothing at all speaks to redundancy for workers.
Peters labeled it the victimization bill and listed the persons who participated in the protest.
It's not only Mount St. John persons alone, because if you get through with one set, you will eventually get through with the next set, right? And so we're all standing in solidarity of each other. We don't have no timeline. Whatever the process is, that is what we will go through. There's no timeline. We don't know what time we're leaving today. We don't know. We don't know. That is a question I cannot answer. It might done the next minute from now, I don't know.
Political leader of the United Progressive Party, Harold Lovell, was among the protesters, noting that he was in agreement with the nurses' decision to protest. Later in the morning, as the bill was debated, Prime Minister the Honorable Gaston Brown insisted his government listened to the concerns of the people and made the necessary adjustments.
Clearly, there were concerns about the drafting of this particular bill, and the concerns ended up in the public domain. The Minister and the Honorable Attorney General obviously heard the concerns, and certain amendments were made, amendments that will be considered at the committee stage. But I want to make it abundantly clear that it was never the intent of the government to create any form of hardship for the nurses. In fact, to the contrary.
Prime Minister Brown explained that the changes would redound to the benefit of the health workers, but there was a misunderstanding because of the words used.
As the debate surrounding the repatriation of 82 Venezuelans from Trinidad and Tobago last weekend continues, opposition MP Boy Tuari is questioning government's management of the influx of people fleeing the South American country as economic refugees. He says these people should not be treated the same as illegal immigrants. We get more in this report from Joel Brown of TV6 News.
Speaking with TV6 News via telephone, opposition MP Dr. Burendrat Tuari said the repatriation of the Venezuelans, including 40 who sought refugee status in Trinidad and Tobago, is a major concern.
You cannot keep them for an inordinate time in detention centers as if they were criminals. And you cannot send them home in a plane in collaboration with the government from which they are fleeing. I think a terrible error of judgment has been made here.
He said while any nation has the right to protect its borders from those seeking to do harm, humanity requires that the government find a humane solution to manage the situation while having effective control of the borders.
Illegal immigrants and refugees are two different things, and I think you have to treat them differently. And even illegal immigrants in a situation where they are fleeing political and economic upheaval in a country, one has to be a little more sensitive about it. So I am not saying open the borders and take all the Venezuelans who come to Trinidad and Tobago. I am saying that the government must have a plan. They must be organized.
Meanwhile, the opposition MP said he is not legitimizing the hiring of illegal immigrants from Venezuela or anywhere else.
Barbados opposition leader Mia Mottley has made another plea for Prime Minister Frandell Stewart to call general elections. Her latest call was made in an open letter to the Prime Minister, which she read on camera. The 5-year term of the ruling Democratic Labour Party effectively ended on March 6th, but constitutionally, the government can legally remain in office up to 90 days after the death of the Parliament. But Mottley says it is time for the BLP administration, that's the DLP administration, to give Barbadians the opportunity to choose who they want to lead them for the next 5 years.
I feel compelled to draw to your attention the fact that our beloved Barbados is literally crumbling and grinding to a halt as a result of your tardiness, indecisiveness, and inertia. While you refuse to set a date for elections, every artery in the country's body is malfunctioning, and many of our people are suffering as a consequence.
Mottley said delaying to call the elections will not affect her party, which she claims has been ready a year ago.
A month can do no harm, but it is our country, Barbados, that is hurting while you procrastinate. Let us take a look at the headlines of the last 2 weeks. For example, sick buildings, mountain garbage, Supreme Court shutdown. Few buses are on the road, and of that despicably poor number, we just lost another one last week to fire, and many, many more to failing engines. Our farmers are crying out. Retailers and Bajans all over are choking to death under the strain of the NSRL. Hoteliers are not making ends meet. Trades unions are on their knees begging for action on matters affecting their members who are buckling after no salary increase for 8 years.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaica's police come under fire for unprofessional work. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
Be watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sapga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 6:30 p.m. as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
Kick back, relax, enjoy the view, the boats, the scenery amidst epic parties, entertainment and nightlife. Antigua Sailing Week. Experience 7 days of non-stop bliss. Chase the race daily by land or up close by sea as the crews compete for glory. Then, when night falls, the harbor ignites. Antigua Sailing Week, April 28th to May 4th, 2018. Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning.
Police in Jamaica are coming under fire for acting unprofessionally while carrying out arrests. The comments come following the circulation of videos on social media showing police and civilians in a scuffle. We get more in this TVJ News report.
In many of the videos online, individuals who are being apprehended by the police are often seen resisting arrest. One of the latest incidents involved a taxi operator who wrestled for minutes with a cop in Halfway Tree and, with help from other taxi operators, managed to free himself. Another incident was in St. Elizabeth, where several officers struggled to handcuff a man they intended to arrest. The arrest eventually happened, but not before a hostile crowd intervened. One member of that crowd even tried to breach the cordon set up by the police. Former Deputy Commissioner of Police Mark Shields was shown the videos for comment. His reaction? The police did not act professionally in both cases, but he made the point that his response was based on what he saw secondhand.
Judging by the videos we've seen and the actual activity we've seen in the street, the police could do better in terms of how they restrain prisoners. It does not appear to be particularly professional. I cannot blame them for that on an individual basis.
Mr. Shields says the officers seem lack the proper training to deal with the situations they were faced with. In a section of the video, it appears a face-off between one of the officers and a bystander was imminent.
It was literally nose to nose. The police fell below the standard because they were becoming part of the problem. That individual should have been dealt with. He should have been dealt with in a fair and a firm way. And maybe even warned that if you try to, or you continue with the language and the obstruction of this arrest, then you too could be...
Criminologist Jason McKay helps train the police in non-lethal self-defense methods. He said the officers did proper risk assessment and showed the necessary restraint. However, he told me after viewing that the police should have used a non-lethal method to effect restraint in the night video.
I would have wondered where was the less lethal devices that they perhaps should have introduced, because I think he should have been pepper sprayed. But again, you're trying to restrain somebody who's trying to get away. You're not necessarily fighting somebody who's attacking you. But in his particular case, I think he should have been pepper sprayed.
But Mr. McKay says those seen in the videos obstructing the police in their duties must now be sought.
Guyana will host a two-day high-level judicial conference next month as part of efforts to comply with recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams said that the May 3rd and 4th event will be attended by representatives from more than 25 countries and is being hosted in collaboration with the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the CFATF. He said the meeting is part of Guyana's ongoing efforts to clear the 4th round of mutual evaluations by the FATF and to ensure the country is technically compliant to the anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism. That's the AML-CFT global regime. Williams says Guyana is on the cusp of transformation, ridding the economy of dirty money and preparing to receive money from oil and gas and the green economy. In 2016, Guyana was removed from the FATF blacklist after meeting the requirements for the AML-CFT compliance. And as part of ensuring it clears the 4th round of evaluations, Guyana must secure convictions under the legal framework it previously installed. Williams assured that this will be done following detailed investigations. The Jamaica government says it will modernize the operations of the Bank of Jamaica, the BOJ, within 6 months. Newly appointed Finance and Public Service Minister Dr. Nigel Clark gave that assurance at a meeting with rating agencies at the 2018 spring meeting of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank governors. A statement from the Jamaica Information Service reported Clark as emphasizing that modernization of the central bank is important in increasing transparency and greater accountability in the bank's operations. Clark also discussed Jamaica's increasing stable economic environment in addition to the planned policies and programs of government for sustained economic expansion, fiscal sustainability, and the protection of the vulnerable in society. Officials in St. Kitts' sister isle, Nevis, are promoting their festival as alternative to the more widely known and highly anticipated carnivals that will take place in the region later this year. The Nevis Culturama Festival is scheduled to be held in July 26th to August 7th, and it's the same time as the Barbados Crop Over and the Antigua and Barbuda Carnival. That's the Antigua and Barbuda Carnival. Culturama Chairman Antonio Liebert said people in the diaspora and in the Caribbean who may be looking for a different experience to Antigua or to Crop Over or even to Toronto, Caribana can visit this year to experience what the island is offering. Speaking at the media launch of the festival, which has as its slogan Fet, Food and Folklore, Culturama 44, Minister of Culture Eric Elvin encouraged organizers to market the festival beyond Nevis's shores.
I want to challenge the committee, and in particular the Public Relations Subcommittee, to ensure that you use all of the media possible, and all of the social platforms possible, social media platforms possible. We want to get the message of Culturama out far and wide. In the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, across the region, in the diaspora, I want Culturama to live up to its name, the greatest summer lime on earth. We have various other summer limes across the region, but we here in Nevis, we want to be proud to say that Culturama is actually the greatest summer lime, not only in the region, but throughout the entire world.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, a sports center of excellence to be established in St. Lucia. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Kick back, relax, enjoy the view, the boats, the scenery amidst epic parties, entertainment and nightlife. Antigua Sailing Week. Experience 7 days of non-stop bliss. Chase the race daily by land or up close by sea as the crews compete for glory. Then, when night falls, the harbor ignites. Antigua Sailing Week, April 28th to May 4th, 2018. Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning.
Watching on May 12th as the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence is broadcast live from the Pegasus Hotel in Jamaica. Join us from 6:30 p.m. as Kai Miller of Jamaica, Noel and Siobhan Joseph of Trinidad and Tobago, Andrew Boyle of Guyana, and Adesh Ramsubag of Trinidad and Tobago receive $500,000 TT, a medal and citation for their work in the arts, sciences, public and civic contributions, and entrepreneurship.
The St. Lucia government will establish a Center of Excellence for Sports, which will be aimed at harnessing the talents of young athletes in order to unleash the true potential of the sports industry. The move by government comes on the heels of the country's success at the recently held Commonwealth Games in Australia, where high jumper Laverne Spencer captured St. Lucia's first ever gold at the showpiece. Prime Minister Alan Chastanet said the initiative would allow success to be measured outside of traditional academic pursuits. The project is expected to get underway in September and will be based at the Grosile Secondary School. It will begin with select programs that will be expanded over the next 3 years. In addition to the Center of Excellence for Sports, Chastanet said his government plans to conceptualize an action plan based on a comprehensive review of the island's sports facilities. The plan is expected to lead to a more strategic approach to the development, upgrade, rationalization and management of the facilities across the island. Guyana's football boss Wayne Ford is expecting a good showing from the country's senior women's squad at the Caribbean Football Union qualifiers on Wednesday. Eson Griffith of Capital News has more.
The Guyana's senior female team, the Lady Jacks, have arrived in Trinidad and Tobago ahead of the CFU qualifiers today. Guyana will play Grenada in the opening match on Wednesday. Guyana has been placed in Group E and will be one of the 5 host nations along with Dominican Republic, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Antigua and Barbuda. President of the Federation, Wayne Ford, says he expects the ladies to give a good account of themselves.
Preparation for the local girls, the girls that are part of our local contingent, has been decent. The international girls have been playing frequently within their competitions, so they are coming with what we expect to be a good fitness level. Reports that I've had engaging with the new coach and the management team is that they're very, very positive. They're looking forward to really stamp their authority on this competition, all in preparation for the CONCACAF qualification.
And staying with women's football, a lone goal scored by Maria Torres in the 61st minute saw Cuba stun Jamaica in the final Group B game of the CFU Women's Challenge Series. TVJ's Simon Preston took in the action at the Waterhouse Mini Stadium in Kingston on Sunday and filed this report.
It was a clash of the Caribbean neighbors, Jamaica and Cuba, where the winner would be crowned champions of Group B of the CFU Women's Challenge Series. The Jamaicans showed more intent compared to their previous game against Barbados as they created more scoring opportunities. The first chance came within the first 2 minutes as 23-year-old Chantel Bailey put Cuban goalkeeper Lucilena Rodriguez to work, but her shot was a tame one. Almost a minute later, Jamaica were on the attack again as Bailey played a ball over the top to Kavina Reed, but her header didn't have the distance to get into the net. Jamaica continued to pour on the pressure in the first half, and 17-year-old midfielder Cherise Clark should have put the Reggae Girls on the score sheet 7 minutes before the break. The Cubans, who dispatched Barbados 7-0 last week, eventually settled into a rhythm as Rachel Ellis forced a save from Jamaican skipper Chrisanne Chambers. Resuming where they left off, the Cubans finally broke the deadlock in the 61st minute when Maria Torres latched on from a corner kick. The Reggae Girls searched for an equalizer later on, but they were not able to find the target, as the game ended 1-0, with Cuba taking the shield for Group B. Head coach of the senior Reggae Girls, Andrew Price, says he was pleased with the performance of his team in spite of the loss.
They haven't played an international in over 2 years, and to give our local team an opportunity to play was great, and it's a good experience for them. This is the first time some of them are putting on the yellow jersey for the first time, and it can be really nerve-wracking, but I think they acquitted themselves well on the field, and they gave as good as they got from a good Cuban team. And with a little bit more luck, we could have come out with the results.
For the World Cup qualifiers, the team will travel to Orlando, Florida for a training camp where the foreign-based players will join the squad in a bid to work on cohesion.
There's about 15 to 16 overseas-based players, and we want to forge that with our local players to get some of the local. So we're looking for the best 23 to carry to Haiti.
Jamaica's group of the World Cup qualifiers will take place in Haiti starting May 9.
Test batsman Sunil Ambrose has been named St. Vincent and the Grenadines' Senior Male Sports Personality of the Year. The 25-year-old beat out challengers from fellow Windies player Kesrick Williams, footballer Myron Samuel and long-distance runner Junior Ashton to claim the honor at the National Sports Award last Saturday. Ambrose enjoyed a stellar season last year, piling up 608 runs for Windward Islands Volcanoes in the first-class tournament, including a career-best 231 against Leeward Islands Hurricanes. He also dominated in the regional Super 50, blasting 423 runs with 6 half-centuries in 8 outings. Meanwhile, long-distance runner Linda McDowell captured the Senior Women's Sports Personality of the Year award, edging out cricketers Cordell Jack and Juliana Nero. In 2017, McDowell clinched her maiden win in the South American 10K in Guyana, clocking 39.50 minutes. She also won the Nakak Chatoya Endurance 10K. And finally, in horse racing, two-time reigning champion Rocco Bowen began his bid for an unprecedented third straight Emerald Downs title in style when he won 4 times on Sunday's opening card. Bowen opened his account in a 5.5 furlong sprint in race 4 when he steered favourite Wine at 9 to a 4-length win over the 3-year-olds and upward. He then partnered with Roger Boo, Pete to trounce the 3-year-olds and upward by 2 3/4 lengths before challenging in another 5.5 furlong sprint. In race 6 over 5 furlongs, Bowen brought his 4-year-old Jalen Suleiman to challenge at the 3/16th and drew away to take the wire half-length clear. But his final win was perhaps the most dominant of the lot when he took favourite Please Be Me to the wire by a whopping 8 lengths to crush the 3-year-olds. That's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean's greatest summer line. Yeah, it's country around my time. 44 is me here. I know you love it here. Troops and festivities. We love the Caribbean. The all night, no time for sleep. Emancipate with we. Vet, food and folklore. Country around the 44. Vet, food and folklore. Welcome to our island shore. Vet, food and folklore. Entertainment to die for. Vet, food and folklore. Country around the 44.
Again, the major developments of this day: Grenada's government preparing to carry out another referendum on the country adopting the Caribbean Court of Justice as its final appeal court. And in sport, a centre of excellence to be established in St. Lucia. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CaribNews.com. Do have yourselves a good night.